So for those of you that are unsure about how to use Securely, this video is for you. So in order to find Securely, I actually just search it up on Google. I just type Securely, and whenever you search it up, usually this is the first thing that'll pop up. Since we are using it in the classroom, I just like to click on Classroom personally. So here, it may be a little bit harder to navigate, but you can just go to Login right here in this corner. And since we are going to be in the classroom, I go to Device Console. Whenever I do that, it'll open up something that looks like this. Here, my class is already auto-populated because I log in through Google, so it connects to my Google Classrooms that I already have established. Some of my classes, we don't use Google Classroom as much. So here, I'll show you what the inside of this one looks like. So if I were to go through here, I would be able to see my students. So I can press start, and I have everyone's information right here. So currently, since I'm not actually working with the students, some of them are in another class, and I can actually see what they were working on. For example, half of these students are not online because their classrooms are not using them. The students that were online, I just kind of X'd them out because I didn't want to mess with what they were actually doing. So a few things for us to think about whenever we are using Securely. Here, you can select the students and you can sort them by first name or last name, whatever works for you. You can also change the view. It makes more sense to have it in a card view so you can see what they are doing on their computers. So for example, another thing that we need to know is, let's say, for example, we look at Emily's screen. It looks like she's working on iStation, but if you actually click on here, you can see the tabs that she has open. So she's pretty good. It says, welcome to iStation. I see what she's working on. And it also says classes. So she has her Google Classroom open so she could access her stuff. So here, I know for a fact that she's doing what she's supposed to be doing. But if for some reason I felt like she shouldn't be doing that, there are several things that you can do. So here, I can lock her screen. If I felt like she was doing something wrong and I didn't want her to be on that screen, I could actually lock a site. For example, let's say your students discovered this online game that they really love, but it really distracts from their classroom work and everything that they're supposed to be doing. You can actually press site lock and you could enter the URL that they've been working on, and you could basically prevent them from going back to that link ever again. So you could say, I want to get rid of this link, but maybe you say, okay, well, you're working for 30 minutes, so you can release it after 30 minutes so they could go back and take a little brain break. Things like that would work. Now, we also have a push URL that really works too. Let's say, for example, if you're in a history class and you want to be able to show them a link all at the same time rather than the students having to type each letter and taking forever, and some students type faster than others, you could actually just push out the URL to them. It'll take them to that site. You could also make an announcement for the class. So you can say eyes up if you know that you're trying to get their attention. You could also announce you're going to be working on iStation for 10 more minutes so they kind of like realize what they're doing. Things like that could work. Also, if there's an announcement that you want to save that you're going to be using constantly and you don't have to type it every time. So like, for example, if you want to put eyes up so you know that the students are paying attention to their computer and now you want them to pay attention to you. We also have this release button. Let's say, for example, Emily's not working on what she's supposed to be working on. I lock her screen. I come have her have a conversation with me about using time wisely in class. And then after we have the conversation, she goes back to her seat and I can release her from my screen being locked or from her screen being locked. Another thing that's slightly useful, especially if you have conferences with parents about the student utilizing the computer wrong. Let's say, for example, you're watching this and she's not doing what she's supposed to be doing. You can save the screen and you could actually show the parents, like, hey, instead of working on math, she was looking up squishmallows and trying to buy them online or whatever it is that they could be doing. So that's also something that we could be using on Securely. Let's see. Now, Some students, let's say for example, Lexus, she has 4 tabs open. So let's go ahead and click on her tabs. It looks like everything that she has looks great. But for example, if whatever it was that she was not supposed to be working on, I can visit that tab and see what's going on at that tab. I can also block this tab or close it completely. So let's say, for example, she's supposed to be working on this assignment, but she also has another tab open where she's playing games every time you turn your back to her. You can close that tab for them. Or you could also just block it. So even if you close the tab, they know how to open it really quickly. You can block it completely and they won't be able to open that tab anymore, kind of minimizing the distractions that you have for them. So that is how you can view what the students are doing, even whenever you're sitting on your computer answering emails or whatever it is that you need to do on your computer and you're not able to walk around and monitor. You can do this as well. I had this class open just to show you an example, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the class. After that, we should be able to go back into the classes. And let's say, for example, I wanted to view what was going on. I can go to session history. It only had 4 students because I didn't want to interrupt what they were already doing in class. But here is how you would do this. So in order to have your kids in securely, I suggest making a Google Classroom and you just add all of them. For example, if you have several different class periods, you would want to make a Google Classroom for each class. For me, I have several different class periods, but I have different groups set up. So I have all of my second graders in the same class. Here, I know that some of them are already using securely, so I'm just going to unclick them so I don't mess with what they're doing already. So this works especially for teachers that have a shared classroom. So for example, if you switch your students and you want to join or create a securely session, you should unclick these so it doesn't mess with whatever it is they are already doing in their other classes. If you have any other questions specifically about securely or need me to model something else, please reach out to me.